Well, good morning. My name is Jeff Cole, and it's my honor to welcome you back to the second hour of Nebraska Talks, Full Service Community Schools. 3 hours, 3 conversations. Again, my name is Jeff Cole, and I'm honored to lead Beyond School Bells. That's Nebraska's expanded learning network and a program of the Nebraska Children and Families Foundation. Welcome again to the second hour of this conversation. This hour's conversation is going to focus on the lessons learned over the past 20 years of community school implementation in Lincoln Public Schools. We're calling this session What I Wish I Knew Then, and it contains some key insights into building sustainable community school systems. This panel will be facilitated by my Nebraska Children and Families Foundation colleague, Joe DiCostanza, who is leading our full service community school efforts in partnership with the Nebraska Department of Education, and will include insights from Dr. Tony Smith, a national expert on full service community schools, who is helping us focus our conversation today. Dr. Smith just led a great conversation with Commissioner Blumstead to kind of kick off and frame the discussion. And I'm so excited about continuing that conversation now with some experts on the nuts and bolts of implementation. So I'm going to turn it right over to Joe to provide some context, introduce the panelists, and get to the second hour conversation going. Joe?
Well, thank you, Jeff, and hello, everybody. Jeff, thanks for your work on this great event, all you do for young people across the state of Nebraska. Thank you, Commissioner Blumstead, for joining us earlier, and thanks, Tony, for being with us for this part of the conversation as well. As Jeff had said, my name is Joe DiCostanzo, and I'm the Assistant Vice President for Education and Careers for the Nebraska Children and Families Foundation. In partnership with the Nebraska Department of Ed, Nebraska Children has been working with communities in Nebraska to implement full service community schools. With unprecedented funding moving into our schools due to the pandemic and recovery, we have before us the opportunity of a lifetime. However, the pandemic alone is not reason for considering how communities and schools can better partner to support youth. When schools closed, a lot of inequities became apparent. People began to understand that the basics like food, stable housing, healthcare, and safety are prerequisites for any child to be ready to learn. What we do as communities to make it possible for all children to have the opportunities is vital to our success moving forward. So we ask ourselves, what are we going to do to make it possible for all children to have basics like food, stable housing, healthcare, optical care, dental care, and other things? These are preconditions that would enable a child to come to school ready to learn. The idea that in 20% of a child's waking hours, schools alone are going to be able to level our unequal playing field that is life in America is just magical thinking. We can do better, and I think a lot of hopeful things have emerged from the pandemic that point to some productive directions. And full service community schools is an approach to getting that done. In this hour, we'll hear from experienced leaders of this movement and ones who are relatively new. We hope to highlight the lessons learned and address some questions as communities consider how to implement full service community schools approach. So with that context, I'd like to start by introducing the panel. And some of you, if you're on with the first hour, have been introduced to Tony Smith, but for those who are new, we're going to kind of ask you to kind of reintroduce yourself a little bit for us here, Tony, and then I'll kind of move along with the other panelists. So Tony, if you could give yourself a brief introduction and kick us off.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Really a pleasure and an honor to be here. So I'm Tony Smith. Most recently, I was the state superintendent of public instruction in Illinois. Before that, I've had the opportunity to run the W. Clement Jesse V. Stone Foundation. Worked in district leadership in Oakland, California. We created the first full service community school district, and I've been in local nonprofit work. So kind of worked at all the different levels and really around the idea of creating high quality systems to care for children and families that are ongoing and supported in local communities. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Tony. We're honored to be joined by Nola. Nola is the district director for Lincoln Public Schools in their community learning centers. Nola, can you give us a little brief introduction?
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to represent our amazing system here in Lincoln. My name is Nola Derby Bennett, and I am the director of the Community Learning Centers for Lincoln Public Schools. So I get the opportunity to oversee all 29 of our community learning centers across our system, as well as work with our 10 lead agency partners here in Lincoln to help, kind of coalesce and to collaborate on the community school work here in Lincoln. I have been in this role almost 4 years, which is the fastest 4 years of my entire life. But it is so much fun, and I learn so much every day from our amazing partners. So again, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Nola. We really appreciate having you, and thanks for your help with this. Next, Dana is an experienced site coordinator. Dana, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself on the intro here?
Yeah, good morning. My name's Dana Kranowitter. I work for the Lincoln Housing Authority and serve as the CLC School Community Coordinator at Arnold Elementary. We started our CLC in 2005, so we're in our 17th year as a CLC school. I've been through a few administrators and a few community partner supervisors, and I seem to stick around. So I've been in the CLC and FSCS world for almost 20 years, and I still love the work. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning and to talk about this important work that we do.
Thanks, Dana. Appreciate it. Pam is joining us, and she's an experienced principal in the full service community school CLC space.
Good morning. I'm Pam Hale. I'm the principal at Norwood Park Elementary here in Lincoln Public Schools, and I've been here for 11 years. Our CLC program began in 2005 as well, and I've been able to watch it grow from something that was kind of fledgling to a really dynamic and robust organization here at our school that serves our community, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Pam. We have what we kind of label new leadership to this as well, and Haroon is with us. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your site?
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be among you today, and thank you very much for inviting me to this conversation. My name is Haroon Al-Haider, and I'm pretty new to CLC, but when I moved to Lincoln, Nebraska last year, I started as an assistant school community coordinator at the Lincoln High School. But then soon after that, I promoted to the school community coordinator position. And I've been working at the CLC Lincoln High. And it's just a pleasure to work with these young kids and to empower them and co-create our programming to serve them, their families, and our communities. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for joining us. And last but definitely not least, Jason is a building principal at a middle school in Lincoln. And Jason, you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jason Shanahan. I'm the new principal at Mickle Middle School, and I'm inheriting a high functioning and established CLC program here. The previous 5 years, I've been at another middle school in Lincoln Public Schools, Irving Middle School. Very similar makeup in terms of socioeconomic status between the two schools. And I'd actually, when I was principal at Irving, had been working with NOLA in trying to see what the options were for getting a CLC into that middle school. And so I'm very excited to be inheriting a middle school that has one in place. And so I've been working through the summer, trying to get caught up to speed, and I'll be taking notes on this just as much as a learner as I am as a presenter, for sure.
Well, we appreciate having you, Jason. Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. Now, it's not all, sunshine and butterflies when it comes to implementing some of this work. There's a lot of good, but then there are also some patches that can, get kind of rough. So hopefully we can cover a little bit of both. Excited to see we have elementary, middle, and high school represented. So let's kick this off with a question for our experienced site coordinator. Dana, as you consider a successful CLC or full service community school, what are some key lessons learned as you kind of got into this work? And what are some of the conditions that you see that are necessary for success?
Sure. I think honestly, in the very beginning, I think community-based organizations came to the table as equal partners with the school district. And that just set us up for a successful start because we weren't necessarily working out. We worked out turf issues. I think, we're used to, as community-based organizations, working separately and sometimes competing for resources. I think the beauty of the full service community school approach that Lincoln Public Schools took on was that community-based organizations, again, were equal partners. And so that brought us to the table with an equal voice. And then we learned how to create almost a new identity. At least this is my experience. I am really, really fortunate that, Lincoln Housing Authority really had the foresight as an unusual full service community school partner to see how this could broaden our own reach in the community. We have a unique structure at my CLC where we have a separate lead agency and a core program provider. And so we had lots of people come to the table in the beginning. In fact, we had 2 core program providers. Lots of people came to the table in the beginning, and we really had to figure out how we come together and create a common goal, or come around a common goal, create our own identity. I think the school district really helped in that because we weren't coming in as competition for resources. We were all working together to leverage our resources. So we could all do more together than we could separately. And we started that in the beginning. So I think a major condition for success is shared leadership and, creating those common goals, true collaboration where you're leaving your own agendas at the door so that you can together serve children and families in a more effective way, leverage your resources instead of competing for resources. I'm sure there's lots of other things, but that's what comes to mind for me.
Thanks, Dana. Pam, anything you'd like to add is from the building leader perspective as you work to welcome in community organizations into your school building?
Right. Well, I echo everything that Dana says. I would say communication and building true relationships around the passion for the work that we do is critical. I've been through a couple of lead agencies, and you just have to have the right fit with the right mindset. And everybody needs to be willing to take risks and be vulnerable. And impossible isn't really part of the language. It's, okay, that's pretty hard. How are we going to make that happen? And then go for it. And I think leveraging, as Dana said, our resources and knowing that we're not competing, but that we function as a well-oiled machine and there's gears and, things that work together. And if everybody's doing their part, we're going to maximize the output for our children and for our families. And, when you have happy families and happy kids, you're on the right track.
Thanks, Pam. Nola, from a district perspective, how might you help facilitate this relationship around, as Dana and Pam had mentioned, goals, expectation, and communication? Are there any strategies or things that you can kind of think of around helping to facilitate that shared leadership perspective?
I think we have the benefit of, getting to see the whole system. And so from my office's perspective, there isn't very much that comes up that we haven't seen somewhere else before. And so there may be something that's happening at a site or at a school or among the partners that feels a little bit stressful with that team, but we, have seen it before and can bring in strategies or, just maybe even just listen. Sometimes it's just listening, somebody just needs to get something off their chest. And so, I get to just listen and then say, here's a strategy that's worked at a different site or with a different partner in the past. And what if we approach things in this way? Can we move forward? And I in the 4 years I've been here, haven't yet run into a complete brick wall where we can't move forward with, just sort of having that opportunity to listen and to, to acknowledge that this is sometimes really hard. And we all, but, refocusing on the fact that we all are, really sharing the same common end goal. So I think sometimes it's a matter of just refocusing back on that and, figuring a way around that wall.
Well, Nola, you may have opened yourself up to a lot of emails of support saying there are things that we feel like we've seen everything as we got great community partners across the state that are working to get this going. You might be getting some emails from them. Hey, what about this, that, or the other? So hopefully be ready for that. And we appreciate
Happy to help.
your support. Hey, Tony, you've been doing this for a real long time. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the conditions that ensure things don't go well over the 20 years? Our partners that we've talked about have really highlighted some of the real benefits and conditions for success. Are there things that are really sticky when they come up that we really want to try to avoid and work through at the start as communities and schools work together?
That's a great question, Joe. Thank you. I think for me, early on, I thought like, hey, if we could all just get in the room and talk about our why, and then it would all be great. That I'd learned over time that sometimes you might share a why, but the what is different. And so like the grind to actually at the front end, actually get to some more specificity. Because that later on, when I didn't have some of those agreements and we weren't clear, that some actually people, pretty passionate folks, right? I mean, you're committed, everybody's working really hard. And then suddenly it feels like, hey, we're not on the